Hello and welcome. This is Imran Siraj, and I'm taking a subject called Standard Material for BTech fourth semester of MDU syllabus. And our college, St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, is affiliated with St. MDU. So we'll be discussing the fourth and last unit of this Standard Material subject. So today our topic of discussion is axial and hoop stresses in thin cylinders. So earlier, we have studied different types of cylinders and cylindrical shells and other elements that constitute the strength of material. So this time will be discussing axial and hoop stresses, circumferential or hoop stresses. So if we have L by D ratio as 1 by 20, that is, if the length is 20 times larger than the diameter, it will be known as thin cylinder, thin diameter cylinder. So the ratio L by D should be 1 by 20 for thin cylinders diameter. And all these formulae that we are discussing today will apply for those cylinders, for those cylindrical shells who have L by D ratio is 1 by 20. So where D is the diameter and L is length of the cylindrical shell. Now we are defining circumferential or hoop stresses. We can see that this is the cylindrical shell or empty shell, and there are under stresses, and if a material flows or these are subjected to stresses, the stress developed all along the circumference. Like we can see, they are all acting on the circumference and perpendicular and outwards from the center. So these types of stresses or are known as circumferential or hoop stresses. So hoop stresses are the stresses that basically act all in directions, all to the circumference to the cylinder. So D is the internal diameter of the cylinder. D is the internal diameter of the cylinder. T is the thickness of the cylinder. T is the pressure, internal pressure that is exerted on the cylinder, and sigma is the circumferential or hoop stress. So we find bursting force pressure because pressure will ultimately fail, and because of these stresses developing in the cylindrical shell will ultimately try to fail according to circumference. So this is the force that is required, the bursting force or the pressure that because of that the cylinder will fail is P into dl. So we can see P is the uniform pressure and dl is the uniform pressure that is acting, and dl is the small length or elemental length that we have considered, P into dl, and then small length dl is around like this. So once we determine the resisting force or the pressure PDL, we will be able to complete the define the pressure all along the length. So this way we will be finding P into dl equals twice L into T into sigma C, twice into LT sigma C. Sigma C is compressive stress. Sigma C is compressive stress. So P into dl pressure into delta L, that is elemental length, and then twice T is the thickness and L is the complete length, 2L into T into sigma C. So this way compressive stress will be PD by 2T. So because this will be the outward reaction, this will be the outward pressure. At the same time, the vessel will also apply the equal and opposite force in order to keep a balance. So this is the resisting strength of the shell. So this can be taken by twice LT into sigma C. twice LT, that is thickness, length multiplied by compressive strength. Compressive strength. So this is twice into L into T, sigma C. We can see here, this is sigma C, compressive stress that has been uh, developed by the cylindrical cell. So now we can say this is the internal dia small d, P is the thickness, and T is the thickness of the pressure vessel, D is the external dia, L is the length. So this is the compressive strength, compressive stress of thin cylinder, thin cylinder, cylindrical shell. So this is also called circumferential or hoop stresses. Now come to the longitudinal stresses. Another types of stresses will be developed along the length. So they are called longitudinal stresses. So we can see again the longitudinal stresses are in the length direction all along the length. So this can be calculated sigma L, sigma longitudinal stress, sigma L P into pi by 4 d square, because P is the pressure exerted by the fluid on the walls of the shell. So P into pi by 4 d square, pi by 4 d square is cross sectional area of the open channel, cross sectional area of the opening. So P into pi by 4 d square. So this is P exerting on the wall. D pi by 4 d square is the D dimension. So this is D is the opening in which the fluid is there. So this fluid will be exerting pressure P into pi by 4 d square, and then again there will be a resisting pressure, resisting uh, pressure or compressive strength that will be coming from the material. So this resisting force is pi dt sigma L. Sigma L is again longitudinal stress. P is the internal dia. Pi d, pi d is the complete circumference. Pi d into pi d is the periphery. Pi d is pi periphery or circumference. Pi p into pi d. T is the thickness of the shell. This is the T, and sigma T is the compressive strength. Sigma L is the longitudinal stress produced inside the shell. That will be responsible. That means the material providing the opponent or reaction to the this exertion of this force. So sigma L is equal to PD by 40. Then now, therefore, the circumferential stress or hoop sigma C is twice as great as the longitudinal stress, because we have seen sigma C as pi d by 2t. This is coming pi d by 40. So this is pi d by 40. That means sigma C compressive stress is twice as that is of sigma L longitudinal stress. So one circumference that circumferential stress or hoop stress is twice as great as longitudinal stress. But in case should be hoop stress be greater than permissible stress in the material of the cylinder. So this is the cylinder. We can see we are talking about. This is the oil tanks on a goods train. So this is an oil tank that is being carried by carriage. So maximum shear stress we can see tau max sigma c minus sigma L by 2. How maximum shear stress calculated? So the difference between two will give us the maximum shear stress. So this is sigma t minus sigma L, sigma that is two. These are two mutually perpendicular shear stresses. One is alongside the circumference, another is along the length. So these are having a direction of 90 degree and mutual perpendicular, and these two can be, if the maximum shear stress can be taken as compressive stress minus longitudinal stress divided by 2, because we have just seen that compressive stress is higher, and that is twice higher as of sigma L. So this will be finding PD by 8T. Substituting this value, we will be having maximum shear stress is PD by 8T. So this is the maximum shear stress that can be developed in cylindrical shell. So design is taken by, first of all we have to find the compressive stress by PD by 2T. Then we have to find uh, thickness. So once thickness is found, because this tensile permissible compressive stress is given in particular material, so we'll be finding this way, we'll be finding thickness. So cylindrical shell with hemisphere. So we have found the thin thickness of the cylindrical shell. So another is cylindrical shell with hemisphere ends. So this is the hemispheres. So that those were the opens, but this is the closed one. So we have also considered the pressure exerted on these hemispheres. So these are semicircles or semicircles. So we also include not only this pressure but also this pressure also, only this pressure also. So in circumferential strain, we will have to include the pressure developed here and here. In these two hemispheres the pressure developed. So we can see the circumferential strain cylindrical portion AC1 is equal to sigma C1 by E minus sigma L1 by ME. So how this is calculated? First of all, we have got to know compressive stress and sigma C and sigma L longitudinal stress. We have got to know, we have already calculated this, and now we know that strain is stress divided by modulus of elasticity. So what we have done, kept we have taken the strain, difference in strain, circumferential strain in cylindrical portion. So EC1 is sigma C1 by E minus sigma C1 by M into E, that is modulus of rigidity. So we are completing with PD by 41 E twice minus 1 by M. This is 1 by M. This is Poisson's ratio. We have earlier studied many times Poisson's ratio 1 by M. So substituting these value, will be finding Poisson's ratio, and this way we will be finding circumferential strain in hemispherical portion. So this is EC2, EC1 and EC2 are basically uh, this is no distortion in the action of cylindrical hemispherical portion, so have to be have to be equal. So if strains develop in different hemispheres, two half spheres, so these two half spheres are equal. So these will be this will be founding as T2 by T1 ratio, thickness ratio of two different thickness sections in cylindrical portions and cylindrical shells. So this we will be designing. We have already calculated. Here we go. We have already found thickness for longitudinal stress earlier, for compressive stress. So once we have got to these thicknesses, we will be defining the thickness T of the hemisphere shell of the thin cylindrical shells. So we can calculate T2 by T1. So this is the process of how finding the thin cylindrical shell hoop stresses. So this will be explained by an example. We are having a thin cylindrical shell of diameter 300 millimeter, wall thickness 6 millimeter, has hemispherical ends. That means it is closed. It is not open, like not channel. It's not an open channel, but it's closed. And if there is no distortion of the junction, the pressure determine the thickness of the hemisphere ends. So E is given, E modulus of elasticity 208 giganewton per meter square. Again, Poisson's ratio 1 by M is given 0.3. So cylindrical shell diameter is 300 millimeter. So 6 millimeter T1 thickness is given. So now we have to find T2. So first of all, we have to model Poisson's ratio 1 by M is equal to 0.3 is given. So this way we will find M value of M. Well, M value of M is 3.333. Modulus of elasticity E is given. Thickness of hemispherical ratio we know. T2 by T1 minus T2 by T1 is equal to M minus 1 divided by twice M minus 1. So T1 is given. T1 is taken as 5 millimeter or 0.05. This is the 6 millimeter thickness, 0.06. So substituting these value, m is 3.333 minus 1 divided by 2 into 3.333 minus 1, and t2 by t1 we have to know. T1 is given. T1 is 6 millimeter, that is 0.06. So 0.06. So this is again in millimeters. So 0.4117 multiplied by 6, 2.47 millimeter. That means one end thickness of hemispherical ends T2 is 2.47 millimeter, and T1 is the wall thickness of the cylindrical shell. So we have got to know thickness T1 is given, and similarly we have calculated the thickness of the T2, thickness T2 of closed end or hemispherical end. So this way we can solve our problems, and many problems are there. So once I discuss built up cylindrical shell, uh, we'll be solving problems. So built up cylindrical shell are there. First we discussed about open cylindrical shell, then closed hemispherical ends. Now we'll come to the built up cylindrical shell. So built up cylindrical shell are seamless and solid drawn. So sigma C and sigma L, seamless or not seamless without built up by longitudinal and circumferential joints. These are not seamless, and longitudinal joints reduce the resisting force of the shell plate. So this we can see here. These are joined together in order to form a cylindrical shell, rather than uh, from a single piece. These are two produced by joining two longitudinal shells. So we can see L length, D diameter, T thickness, P intensity of pressure, as earlier we have defined, 1 by M Poisson's ratio, lateral strain upon longitudinal strain, Poisson's ratio, then again sigma C, then again sigma L, and direct strain due to sigma C, again dividing by E, will be having two types of strain, compressive strain and longitudinal strain, directly dividing by E, and so net circumferential strain will be EC, direct strain minus lateral strain. So sigma C by E minus 1 by M sigma L by E. So this way we have got sigma, we have got to know uh, strain due to compression EC. So we have deducted, we have taken the difference from these two, and now we have got to know EC. So EC we have calculated, and net longitudinal strain we can see. This is the net longitudinal strain. We have got to know PD by 4T within bracket 1 minus 2 by M. The volumetric strain EV is equal to algebraic sum of net strains of all axes. So this way ET is equal to twice by E, and EV is equal to delta V by V, change in volume and original volume. So this is about the change delta V or volumetric change EV. So now we can calculate the net circumferential strain, and this way we have got to know different aspects of cylindrical shells. First, these were single piece and then built up stresses. So this way we can calculate. I hope everything is clear. Still you are having confusions, so you may get in touch with me at my number 9069360400. For the time being, I am signing off. Okay, bye, see you.